So brand new from the geniuses over at Blumhouse, it appears we have finally found the most depressing movie ever made. A movie aptly titled The Woman in the Yard, you will spend 90 minutes staring at a woman in funeral attire as she sits on this family's front yard. And it's about as boring as it sounds, but if you are somebody who loves to sit on your front porch and ponder the meaninglessness of this all, I might have the perfect movie for you. So immediately when I left the movie theater, I thought to myself, how the hell am I going to review that? I mean, there's not a whole lot going on here. So I'm just going to do what I feel like is long overdue. Haven't done one of these in quite a while. I'm just going to rip this movie to shreds, scene by scene, spoiler-filled rant. That is your warning. If you don't want to hear everything about this film, click off now. But yeah, let's get into it. Let's talk about The Woman in the Yard. So the movie in a nutshell, you have Ramona, who's the mother to these two children, Annie and Tay, and they live on this isolated farm. And that's because her husband has just passed away. They make sure to tell you that within the first 15 seconds, giving away the entire mystery of what The Woman in the Yard is going to actually be about, obviously an allegory for grief. But in the opening scene, Tay tries to wake up Ramona because his mother is depressed. She is bedridden. She is watching videos of her husband who has passed away. Once again, giving away the entire central premise and mystery to this film, but I'm willing to ignore it. I'm a generous guy. But in this opening scene, it does set the groundwork for Ramona, who is going to go on to be the most insufferable, unlikable, annoying-ass character I think has ever been put on the screen. I know what this movie's trying to explore, but this character, Ramona, the mother of these children, is insufferably annoying. This might be the single most unlikable character ever. But when she finally musters up the energy to get out of bed and look after her own children, if you say anything that this mother does not like, she will snap at her kids at a whim. Meanwhile, you have Annie, who is a very young girl, and you have Tay, who is kind of trying to be the man of the household. It does not matter what this kid does. Orders will be barked at him from start to finish, and she will reprimand this kid for trying to do anything. Hey, can you look after your sister? Hey, can you make some breakfast? Hey, what are you doing? Put that away. Hey, don't throw the ball. All before Tay finally realizes there's a woman sitting in their front yard, and he's like, Mom, there's a woman sitting outside in a chair. The mother goes out and confronts this new character, does not seem to care whatsoever that her and her children are obviously at risk from this stranger sitting on her property. They have a small confrontation, then she goes inside, acts like nothing happened. We can just ignore her, because that seems like the most sensible way to approach this situation when you have to look after two young children. So you're going to sit and watch this family mope around for the next 20 or 30 minutes or so before anything significant happens because they just don't want to acknowledge the presence of this stranger. Up until the point where Tay, trying to be the man of the household, eventually says, hey Mom, we need to do something about this stranger. Can we call somebody or something? So he starts listing off some pretty sensible ideas. We'll go to our neighbor's house, we'll call from there, we'll try to call the cops. He starts listing ideas. Hey Mom, you think we should... That's the sound of her smashing a coffee cup into the ground, that she will not tolerate any sensible ideas or anything that could possibly progress this plot. If she wants to sit around and mope with her family for another 20 minutes, we get to about 50 minutes into the movie, and we have accomplished absolutely nothing. We just know this is a miserable family. These kids are obviously depressed along with their mother. And we're all wondering, why is there a woman sitting in this yard? Because she's not really doing anything. She's not really a focal point of this movie. And every 15 minutes or so, she gets about 10 feet closer to the house. And all the while, this woman is going to sit in this family's front yard. Every once in a while, they're going to ramp up the music, build some suspenseful tension, except there's nothing going on. You're just watching the score ramp up as this woman just sits there, motionless. There's not a single scare attempted while this is happening. There's nothing in this movie that would even make Stuart Little jump. So now it's about an hour or so into the movie, and Tay finally has another sensible idea. His dog has gone missing. He blames this new stranger. I mean, who else would do it? So he says, I'm going to get my dad's gun. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to see what this woman's all about. So he walks out in front of the house and he confronts this woman and says, who are you? Why are you at our house? And when she does decide to reveal herself, she lifts her veil up, and there's nothing creepy or scary about it. There's nothing sinister. This just looks like a young Dionne Warwick. So from that point on, I was like, who is this woman in front of the yard, and why do I give a shit? Because she's just a normal person. Also need to point out that nobody even seems to care when she does reveal her face. They just kind of go oh, that's what you look like? Why are you here? And unfortunately for Ramona, the reason she unveiled herself to Tay is she had to tell him a dark secret. That dark secret being the night that their dad died, she was actually the one driving the car. As if that is some dramatic revelation, I'm not sure that would actually change too much of what's going on. But from that point on, this is where it all gets to be really good, because this movie goes full Blumhouse. And if you've ever seen one of these PG-13 stinkers, you know exactly what I mean. Shaky cam, flashbacks, metaphors, jump scares, all obscure, completely randomly placed for the next 20 minutes or so, all the way up to an incredibly unsatisfying conclusion. I don't even want to know what the director's therapy bill is if he put this stinker out and this is what he was passionate about. There's absolutely no way this movie got test screened and anybody actually sat through this and said, yeah, that is an interesting watch. Because this was one of the most generically depressing and pointless, like metaphorical snooze fests I have seen in years. So to summarize one last time, there are no scares in this movie, a giant metaphor for grief and family trauma, boring as tears. Whatever you thought this concept could be, they don't do anything with it. It's exactly as you think it would be. And the way they chose to progress it is just have this family mope around while a woman sits in their yard. It is so profound. Overall, do not waste your time and money with this movie. Don't watch it when it comes to streaming. This is one of the most forgettable pieces of trash I've seen in a while. It's absolute dog shit. So there you have it, folks. I feel like that's a good enough trade. I saved you 90 minutes in exchange for 5 of my own. So if you have seen this movie, comment down below. Let me know if you thought it sucked as bad as I did, because there's no way on earth anybody liked this. And as always, if you haven't subscribed yet, join me down below. Love talking movies with you. I will see you in the next review. Peace.